Hello, dear learners. Welcome back to English Archive, the place where learning English becomes more than just practice. It becomes a powerful journey. Today, you're going to hear the complete life story of Nelson Mandela, one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen. This story is not just about history. It's about bravery. It's about sacrifice. It's about how one man, born in a small village, changed the course of an entire nation. Listening to this story will help you improve your vocabulary, your pronunciation, and your listening skills. But more than anything, it will help you believe in yourself. So get ready, because what you're about to hear might be the most powerful story of your life. Nelson Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in a quiet South African village called Mvizo, located in the Eastern Cape. His birth name was Nelson Mandela, which in his native Xhosa language meant pulling the branch of a tree. Some people said it also meant troublemaker, a name that would one day feel strangely accurate. He was born into a respected family of the Thembu royal clan. His father, a local chief and counselor to the king, lost his title when he stood up against injustice. This early act of bravery would deeply influence Mandela's future. His mother was soft-spoken but strong, deeply spiritual, and full of wisdom. From her, Mandela learned the values of compassion, patience, and quiet strength. As a young boy, Mandela's life was simple. He lived in a mud hut, played barefoot in the fields, swam in rivers, and herded cattle. He listened to his elders tell stories about African heroes who had resisted colonial rule. These stories opened his imagination and filled him with dreams of freedom. Though he had no idea what lay ahead, his heart was already growing strong with courage. When he was 9 years old, his father passed away. It was a painful loss, but also a turning point. Mandela was taken to live with Chief John Jintaba, a powerful Thembu leader who raised him like a son. Here, Mandela began to understand leadership, not as something loud or proud, but something quiet, wise, and deeply responsible. At age 7, Mandela began school. His teacher gave him the English name Nelson, following the British custom of the time. Mandela never understood why he had to give up his African name, but he accepted it. From then on, he would live between two worlds, his African roots and the European culture that had invaded his land. But he never lost his identity. In school, he was a curious and hard-working student. He loved literature and history. He admired great leaders and thinkers who fought for truth. And even though he was quiet, he was observant and thoughtful, always learning from the world around him. By his teenage years, Mandela was already questioning the world he lived in. Apartheid, the cruel system that separated people by race, was everywhere. White South Africans had all the power, while black South Africans were denied basic rights. They couldn't vote, own land freely, or even travel without permission. Mandela noticed the unfairness, but he didn't yet know how he would fight it. At 16, during a traditional coming-of-age ceremony, the village elders spoke about manhood and responsibility. They also spoke of their pain under white rule. That day, Mandela felt something shift inside him. He made a silent promise. One day, he would fight for his people. In his early 20s, Mandela was expected to follow tradition and accept an arranged marriage. But Mandela had other ideas. He wanted education. He wanted freedom. So he ran away to Johannesburg, a fast-moving city filled with opportunity, but also hardship. Mandela found work as a clerk in a law office. He lived in small, crowded rooms and often struggled to find enough to eat. But he never lost his hunger for learning. He continued studying and eventually entered the University of Witwatersrand to study law. He was one of the few black students there and faced daily racism. But instead of breaking him, it made him stronger. He saw education not just as knowledge, but as a weapon. During this time, Mandela became more politically active. He joined the African National Congress, ANC, which was fighting for the rights of black South Africans. At first, Mandela believed in peaceful protest. He helped organize marches, boycotts, and community events. With his friend Oliver Tambo, he opened South Africa's first black law firm. They defended people who had no voice under apartheid. But as time passed, the government became more brutal. Peaceful protests were met with bullets. In 1960, at the Sharpeville massacre, police shot and killed 69 unarmed protesters. Mandela realized that words were no longer enough. In secret, Mandela helped form Umkhonto we Sizwe, meaning Spear of the Nation, a group that would use sabotage to fight back. They targeted government buildings, not people, hoping to make the leaders listen. Mandela traveled across Africa to gather support and training. But in 1962, he was arrested. In 1964, he was sentenced to life in prison. In court, he gave a powerful speech. He said, "I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Mandela spent the next 27 years in prison. For 18 of those years, he lived on Robben Island, in a tiny cell with no bed and no plumbing. He was forced to do hard labor in the sun and allowed only one visitor a year. Still, he kept his mind strong. He read books. He taught other prisoners. He wrote letters. And most importantly, he kept hope alive. Outside the prison, his name became a symbol. Around the world, people marched, sang, and demanded, "Free Nelson Mandela." While he sat in silence, his legend was growing. In 1990, the pressure became too great. The South African government finally released Mandela. He walked out of prison with dignity, with his head held high, and without a single word of hate. He chose peace. He chose unity. In 1994, South Africa held its first free election, and the people chose Nelson Mandela as their first black president. The same man who had entered prison as a rebel now returned as a president. He didn't seek revenge. He built bridges. He invited his former enemies to the table. He believed that forgiveness was stronger than fear. As president, Mandela worked to heal a broken nation. He created new laws to protect everyone. He improved education and healthcare. He started programs for the poor. And he used sports, like the 1995 Rugby World Cup, to bring people together. One of the most powerful moments was when Mandela, wearing the jersey of South Africa's mostly white rugby team, handed the trophy to the captain. The stadium roared. Black and white South Africans stood as one. It was a moment that symbolized Mandela's dream, a united South Africa. Mandela served just one term as president and then stepped down, a rare move in a world where many leaders hold on to power. He showed the world that leadership is not about control. It's about service. In his later years, he continued his work through the Nelson Mandela Foundation, promoting peace, health, and human rights. He worked to raise awareness about HIV/AIDS, an illness that affected many in his country. Even when he was old and tired, he gave his time to the world. On December 5, 2013, Nelson Mandela passed away at the age of 95. People across the world cried, but they also celebrated his life. He had become more than a leader. He had become a symbol of hope. His story is told in schools, books, and speeches. Statues of him stand in cities around the world. But the most powerful part of his legacy is the message he left behind. You can rise, no matter where you come from. You can lead, even if no one believes in you. And you can forgive, even when it hurts. So, dear learners, as you listen to this story, Remember, Nelson Mandela was not born special. He was born curious, kind, and brave. What made him great was his choices. He chose to stand up when it was easier to sit down. He chose to forgive when it was easier to hate. And he chose to keep going, even when the path was long and lonely. You too have that power. You can improve your English. You can grow in confidence. And you can change your life, step by step, day by day. Thank you for being part of this journey with English Archive. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. We're here to help you grow through English, through stories, and through inspiration. See you in the next video.